June 15, 1859. On a quiet, windswept island in the Pacific Northwest, a farmer raises his rifle. His target? A large black pig, happily munching on his potato crop. He pulls the trigger, and with that single shot, he nearly starts a war between the two most powerful empires on Earth, the United States and Great Britain. This is the story of the Pig War, a bizarre border dispute that brought two nations to the brink of battle, all because of one very hungry pig. It's a confrontation that could have redrawn the map of North America, but somehow, miraculously, ended with only a single casualty. To understand how a pig could almost cause an international incident, we need to rewind to the mid-19th century. It was an age of bold expansion and fierce imperial competition. The focus of our story is the San Juan Islands, a beautiful archipelago nestled between Vancouver Island, which was British territory, and the mainland United States, specifically Washington Territory. For decades, both nations had laid claim to these islands. The root of the problem was the Oregon Treaty of 1846. This treaty was meant to finally settle the border between the U.S. and British North America. It declared that the boundary would run through the middle of the channel which separates the continent from Vancouver's island. Sounds simple, right? Well, not quite. When surveyors looked at the maps, they found a critical flaw. There wasn't just one channel. There were two. To the west, the Haro Strait. To the east, the Rosario Strait. And sitting squarely in the middle were the San Juan Islands. Each country interpreted the vague treaty language to their own advantage. The Americans argued the border was meant to run through the Haro Strait, placing the islands firmly in U.S. territory. The British insisted it was the Rosario Strait, which would make the San Juans theirs. For years, this led to a strange, tense coexistence. American settlers arrived and began to farm the fertile soil, while the powerful British Hudson's Bay Company operated a massive sheep ranch on the island. The two communities lived side by side, but an undercurrent of tension was always simmering just beneath the surface. All it would take was one small spark to set the whole thing off. And on that fateful day, June 15, 1859, that spark came in the form of a pig. An American farmer named Lyman Cutler had a small plot of land where he grew potatoes. His neighbor, Charles Griffin, was an employee of the Hudson's Bay Company and owned several pigs, which he allowed to roam freely. One morning, Cutler walked out to his garden to find one of Griffin's large black boars digging up and devouring his precious potatoes. This wasn't the first time. Fed up, Cutler grabbed his rifle and shot the pig. When a furious Griffin came to confront him, he demanded an outrageous sum of $100 for his lost pig. Cutler refused. "Your pig was trespassing," he argued, "eating my potatoes." Griffin's legendary reply? "It is up to you to keep your potatoes out of my pig." The argument was more than just a neighborly dispute. It was a clash of national pride. The squabble quickly escalated. British authorities, representing the Hudson's Bay Company, threatened to arrest Cutler. The American settlers on the island were outraged. They saw this as British overreach on American soil and petitioned the U.S. military for protection. The U.S. government responded. On July 27th, Captain George Pickett Yes, the very same Pickett who would later lead the infamous charge at Gettysburg, landed on San Juan Island with a company of 66 soldiers. He set up camp, defiantly raised the American flag, and declared the island was under U.S. protection. He vowed that no British forces would be allowed to land. This was a direct challenge. The British governor, James Douglas, didn't back down. He dispatched 3 powerful British warships to the island's harbor. Suddenly, the situation was terrifyingly real. On one side, Captain Pickett and his small band of American soldiers, eventually reinforced to just under 500 men. On the other, a formidable British force of over 2,000 sailors and Marines, with the cannons of 5 warships aimed directly at the American camp. A full-blown military standoff had begun. For weeks, the world held its breath. Soldiers on both sides dug in, fortified their positions, and waited for the command that would start a war. All because of a pig. Back in Washington, D.C. and London, politicians were horrified. How could a squabble over a farm animal escalate into a potential war? Neither side wanted this. President James Buchanan dispatched General Winfield Scott, a respected soldier and diplomat, to de-escalate the crisis. When Scott arrived, he met with the commander of the British Naval Forces, Rear Admiral Robert Baines. Baines, assessing the absurd situation, famously declared he would not involve two great nations in a war over a squabble about a pig. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated common sense. Scott and Baines quickly came to an agreement. To save face for both sides, each nation would maintain a small, symbolic military presence on the island, just 100 men each, until the border could be formally decided through diplomacy. What followed was one of the most unusual military occupations in history. For the next 12 years, the British Royal Marines and the U.S. Army soldiers coexisted peacefully on San Juan Island. Their camps were just a few miles apart. Far from being enemies, they became friends. They visited each other's camps, shared meals, celebrated holidays like Christmas and the 4th of July together, and even held sporting competitions. They called their shared post the joint occupation, a testament to their mutual respect and the absurdity of their situation. The tension had vanished, replaced by a unique and lasting camaraderie. The war over the pig had become a friendly neighborhood watch. Finally, in 1871, Great Britain and the United States agreed to let a neutral third party settle the dispute once and for all. They turned to Kaiser Wilhelm, the first of Germany, to act as the international arbitrator. A three-man commission studied the treaties, maps, and arguments from both sides for nearly a year. In October 1872, the Kaiser announced his decision. He ruled in favor of the United States, declaring the Haro Strait as the official boundary line. The San Juan Islands belonged to America. Within weeks, the British Royal Marines peacefully withdrew from their camp, saluting their American friends as they departed. The Pig War was officially over. It had lasted 13 years, involved thousands of troops and mighty warships, but ended without a single human casualty. The only life lost was that of the pig that started it all. Today, San Juan Island National Historical Park preserves this incredible story. You can visit the sites of both the American camp and the British camp. Standing on the quiet, grassy hills overlooking the sea, it is hard to imagine that this peaceful landscape was once the stage for a tense military standoff. The Pig War is a fantastic piece of historical trivia, but it's also a powerful lesson in diplomacy and de-escalation. It reminds us that even when tensions are at their highest, conflict is not inevitable. It is a testament to the idea that reason and a shared sense of humanity can prevail over national pride and aggression. As one historian perfectly put it, it was the best kind of war won in which only a pig died. The Pig War might seem like a comical footnote in history, but it highlights just how fragile peace can be. A single misunderstanding, a moment of stubborn pride, could have plunged two friendly nations into a devastating conflict, forever changing the future of North America. Instead, it became an inspiring story of restraint and reason. It's proof that sometimes the greatest victory lies not in winning a fight, but in finding a way to avoid it altogether. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this unbelievable but true story, please give this video a like and subscribe for more incredible tales from history. You really won't want to miss what we have coming up next. See you in the next video.